Alright, don't get any ideas. This is not normal. As per the homework assignment video, I am not allowed to use any copyrighted material. Anything I use is royalty free. So we're going to be having some lovely Kevin MacLeod music playing in the background. All the assets I show off are going to be 100% mine or royalty free, which can be a problem as the topics I am talking about aren't actually my properties, but I am creating things under the guise that they would be part of that property. It's confusing, but I'm working with what I can. So, let me bring up the first topic of what we're going to be discussing, and that is a sort of short project that I was initially working on that didn't end up being short. It was about a year ago now when I was really into Overwatch 2, where I decided to have a fun little week-long project of just designing an Overwatch hero for the game. Right. And this was a while back. For reference, PvE was still announced by the time I came back up with this idea. And then, due to my own perfectionism, it just kept getting extended out further. So I can share with you a little bit of the process I went through to get to the point where I am now. Here is the character who I was initially going to release with. Her name is Rishi. She was a Chinese hero who was part of Liu Shang Interstellar, who was working on an experimental energy form, which doesn't really matter. I do actually like her character. I might come back to her, but she needs to be fleshed out a little bit more differently, as I have now since moved on through many of the different designs to come to a character who I am now calling Hai Long. She is Vietnamese, and she is a brawler by nature. She is also under the support category of heroes, and it sort of plays in a type of more aggressive state, with a unique stance shifting personality. It's different than Ramattra's, where he switches stances only for a short amount of time. Instead, it is a state she switches in, different abilities, different attacking when in the new stance, yada yada, etc. Alex, whenever I make the video, I'll explain it more. Then we also have a damage hero. Her name is a Monarch. Her main gimmick is poison and working off of status effects. Another type of flanker role, similar to Genji, Tracer, you know, all that stuff. And then I also have a tank hero, which I haven't done a new sketch of yet. Here is the sketch I was working on previously before I decided to go back and re-Overwatchify and modernify all the designs. His name is Eternal Elefante. He is meant to be sort of like a not in your face type of tank, but much more of a poke and strategy type. Moving on to what was once called Monster Hunter Polar, it is now called Monster Hunter Tides. I have made great progress on what I like to think would be working towards a first episode. I have really spent some time refining my own art style and taking a break compared to what it looked like when I first started this project. It was very amateurish. The voice acting was pretty poor. The drawings were sloppy in a lot of areas. No, don't get me wrong. I still think the ones I currently have are sloppy, but these ones were much more sloppier. And I've really just taken the time to try to improve on that and learn, as if this is the career field I want to go into, concept art, then I really need to refine and practice. I cannot be just simply satisfied with what I had. I also need to keep moving forward. And so I like to think I did, and I am still actively doing so. For this first video, It is probably going to be the longest to produce, as this one requires the most amounts of assets made. I have half of the main roster created, that being Fayar and Kilo. Their redesigns are looking quite nice, and I really tried to hammer home on certain themes of both being the caregiver and the sort of crooked smile type role. I've also fleshed out the world of Byra a lot more. Each of the locations actually has a proper name, and there is a massive world map, and I am working on actual maps as well, quote-unquote maps. And of course, the main focus of any Monster Hunter-like property is the monsters. And I am going to be doing something unique with the first monster you fight that I will be doing this going forward with all monsters. For Scapy, who has a lovely redesign, might I add, I really went in on the more mammalistic traits rather than the raptor traits of old. For Scapy and Monsters Moving Forward, they're going to be basically 2D puppeted. I am going to learn how to rig them for animation and kind of puppet along so I can at least show off some of their moves and how they might fight, to kind of give the illusion that this is sort of like real or coming together. The other monster, which I am also going to be showing off in art and mentioning in the story, is the flagship monster of the game, Deerhood, who has taken on a much different design. Initially, he was a sort of slimmer pseudo-wyvern like Seregios. They were kind of compact and skinny around the waist. It is shifted to something more akin to the skull crawlers of Kong Skull Island, where they do not have any hind legs and mostly slide. This is supposed to help with the sort of terrestrial nature of the monster, mostly fighting within the ground itself and burrowing through it. The future of the channel is a bit more up in the air. Of course, I am working on these long-term processes, which are something I am passionate about, which are the art projects and the sort of experimentation when it comes to concept and drawing and whatnot. But for the other stuff, I do also enjoy doing as well. The video games and the quote-unquote funny edits, looking back at none of them, I would definitely change how I go about them. There were certain segments I liked a lot more than certain other segments, to say the least. I think the plan for those should be I will keep doing them. I'm going to make them a lot shorter form. Maybe a little bit less on the editing. Definitely what I did for that Mizitsune video with my friend, I will probably do again. I really like that style. It really kind of encapsulated how I felt in that moment. Of course I want to do a variety of games, but I know from my years of watching YouTubers that trying to really leave your field of games or subjects is not really a good thing for your channel growth. I don't really care. I make this for fun, not really for, I don't have no plan for profit. My whole goal when I started this channel was if I can make at least one person's day with my videos, that would be enough for me. Simply put, I'm going to be working a lot more. School is finishing up for this and I can go on spring break here soon. After spring, I might take like a single class in the summer. If I do, I will probably be able to keep up and maintain that video consistency. My projects are nearing a sort of state where I can share. If anything, I feel like the Monster Hunter Ties is closer to being completed than the Overwatch thing, only because I am attempting to get my friends to voice act. That sometimes is a bit of a hassle to try to convince what is essentially a man who is always busy to do that, and a woman who is a little bit of an airhead in the nicest way, because I'm pretty sure she might watch this. In the nicest way, airhead. If you made it this far, why? There is nothing to keep you here, but thank you. And I will hunt with you later.